Welcome to the IT Fundamentals Training Series. This is your host, Mark Haupt, and welcome to episode 29. We're getting close to that magical number of 30. Okay, it's not really magic, I know. Just when you cross one of the 10s, it's kind of fun, right? All right, episode 29, we're going to talk about laptops, those little clamshell devices that we can carry around with us and get lost and cause all sorts of security headaches. Here we go, episode 29. Welcome to the IT Fundamentals Training Series. This is Mark Haupt, and I am your host. Remember, mhaupt at commonsensesecurity.net. That's how to get a hold of me. I need you to get a hold of me. I need to know the people are actually listening to this and doing something with it, because I'm getting ready to potentially put some extra effort into making some changes that will benefit you if, in fact, you're doing this. I need to know that you're doing this. This is kind of a little Easter egg. If you're doing it, send me a note. All you have to do is say, I am doing your series, and I'd be perfectly happy. Again, email address, mhaupt at commonsensesecurity.net. Or if you know me personally, send me a text. There's that phone number right there. You can send me a text to that number. So anyway, episode 29, we're going to talk about laptops. Like I said, those little clamshell devices that cause security professionals all sorts of angst and problems, only because they can get lost so easily. And back in the day, we didn't have tablets and we didn't have things like that. So these were the things that caused a lot of data loss, being left in cars being broken into, so on and so forth. But here's the point. Okay, laptops are designed, as the book says on page 125, they are designed for the most part to do everything a desktop computer can, but be portable. Now, I do want to put a caveat on that, because certainly if you're a gamer or if you're a graphic artist designer, the laptops may or may not be able to do everything that you intend for them to do. So, for example, I know the people who are Apple fanboys will tell me that the Apple laptops can do everything that a desktop can do for things like sound production and movie production and video editing and all those kinds of things. Yes, they can. But let me tell you, you could put more RAM into a desktop than you can a laptop. And you can, in other ways, beef up a desktop more so than a laptop. So although their statement is accurate and true, just keep in mind that if you're doing specialty work, then you may need to buy a specialty laptop. Like they do make specialty laptops for gaming that are quite effective and quite powerful devices. They have the built-in GPUs. Remember, the graphics cards or the graphics processor units on the graphics cards that will allow you to present video fast and curious, if you will, or fast and furious, whatever the case may be. Here's the thing that I do find as a limiter with laptops is the number of output devices, monitors in particular, that you can establish with a laptop. I use 3 monitors that are sitting right in front of me right now, and that's attached to a desktop. And I tend to find that I like that a little bit better. When I'm on the road, I have this little bitty 15-inch monitor that I work off of, and sometimes that can be challenging, especially since I'm used to having 3 console screens, if you will, sitting here in front of me for me to do my job. But laptops can have the same processors, they can have the same capacity of RAM if you want to, although I'm not sure if we can get laptops up to 128 gig, but certainly up to 64 gig of RAM. And so on and so forth. So just keep that in mind, that from the book's perspective, the laptops are designed with a little bit of a caveat to do everything but be portable. Then you need to buy perhaps a specialized laptop in order to do certain things. All right, laptop architecture. All right, in order to make these things portable, everything has to be smaller, everything has to be more compact. So everything from the CPU and the GPU to the motherboard, to even the discs that go into the laptops are all smaller that are out there, and they're trying to get these things and keep them down to 4.5 to 5.5 pounds. If you're looking on page 126, paragraph 2, and you have a pen or a highlighter, that's one of the things that I would highlight there, is that they're trying to keep them there in between the 4.5 pounds and 5.5 pounds of laptops, because when they get heavier than that, they really become too heavy to carry in a backpack or even in a side case on the arm or something like that. I would also say another feature of the laptop architecture is the diminutive size of the screen. Typically, laptops are running 15 or 16, 17 inches on the screens, and that's about as big as you're going to get. Whereas, like on my desktop here, I've got a 32 and 227s. And so you're going to have that challenge. Now, you can, and I do have additional laptop screens that I can sit on the back of the laptop that will give me the 3 monitors that I'm looking for, but they are typically still a 10 to 12, maybe 13-inch screen. And so you're still looking at things in more of a diminutive space. But again, the key here is highlight 4.5 to 5.5 pounds on that laptop so you can haul it around, as they put it. All right, laptop hardware that we need to take a look at specifically is in table 3.1. Now, you don't need to memorize this, but you certainly need to be familiar with and aware of this. The motherboard is almost always proprietary to the laptop manufacturer. So your Dell manufacturer of the laptop is also going to have a Dell motherboard in there, and so on and so forth. CPUs in desktops, you can remove them, but CPUs in laptops, you typically cannot. They're soldered down to the board. RAM are SODIMMs rather than DIMMs, and we talked about that during our RAM section when we were talking about volatile and non-volatile memory. So the SODIMM reminder is standard. These are standard outline dual inline memory modules. So you want SODIMMs rather than DIMMs. Your hard drives are what they say industry standard, but I can tell you most of the hard drives now are memory chips running about 256 gigabytes or maybe a 500 gigabit, and then everything else has to be external to the system. So there's enough to put your applications on, to run your operating system, and then any major data storage is typically going to be in the cloud or off on a separate hard drive. Your video, sound, and network cards, almost always integrated, again, hardwired, if you will, into the motherboard. You can add external cards, but it's not the easiest. You're not going to have PCIe slots in there, for example. You're going to have other types of scenarios. So, and then of course you have the battery in there, and that's always a proprietary thing. All right, power adapters are a little bit different. So remember, in a desktop environment, you've got this power supply that sits inside of the case, pretty big type of deal. But on a laptop, your power supplies are external to the laptop. And so they're going to receive the power. You see on page 127, about 3-4 lines down in the first paragraph there about external power adapters. It says different power adapters can plug into AC or alternating current sources, such as a wall outlet, or direct current sources, such as your automobile or airplanes. So this is an important piece with these laptops, is not only do they make the device mobile and even untethered, if you will, with Wi-Fi network connections and the power being through a battery, but they also make power adapters that allow you to either plug them straight into the wall or plug them into other sources, such as in the cigarette lighters into automobiles, cars, or into functions on the airplanes. Now, usually the airplanes are AC power as well, but that's that's what that is. Now, figure 3.2 talks about the polarity symbols in there. And this is important as you work with some of the more advanced power supplies. The basic power supplies will either be an AC power adapter that transfers it over, or you'll have to buy a different kind of power adapter to plug it into more of a DC type of scenario. So take a look at those polarity symbols just so you know what you're dealing with there. Obviously, plus, minus type of thing, positive, negative. All right, docking stations are another important part of these computing devices, these laptops. that we're talking about here, because what the docking station does is when you plug in your laptop to the docking station, it allows it to interface with some of these larger peripherals, like these large screens, network adapters, and so on and so forth. So lots of times in Figure 3.3, you can see there a docking station has PS2, it has DB, multiple types of DB connections for serial ports on the back. It has VGA, it has DVI for digital interface. It has USB ports, and potentially, I'm just kind of looking at it there, it might have some Thunderbolt or FireWire connections in there. And then it has the RJ45 NIC connection, or network interface card connection. So what this does is allows you to use your laptop to interface with your larger peripherals. So when you come into the office, for example, plop that thing onto the docking station, and then all of a sudden you can use that for your 32, 27-inch screens like I talked about earlier. Now, from a security perspective, cable locks are absolutely important if you're going to leave these things laying around on a desk. But my advice to you as a security professional is just pick them up and take them with you wherever you go, or lock them inside of a desk drawer or something like that. But cable locks are designed to go in a portion of the case and have a combo key that you can wrap around like a metal bar or something on your desk. Makes it harder for somebody to walk away with that laptop. Here's my advice. A lot of these people will use these cable locks, and they'll go into some place like a Starbucks or another type of coffee shop. They'll lash their computer to a pole or something. Then they'll get up and they'll go get their coffee, and they'll go talk to people. Then they'll go to the restroom. Then they'll finally come back to their laptop. In this day and age, bad move. Okay, cable locks are not good enough for that. People can break those off, and lots of times, frankly, people attach them to things that they don't realize can be the cable lock can be just slipped over or slipped around. So like, for example, they'll attach it to a table leg and not realize that you can lift the table up, slide that cable lock from underneath it, and away it goes. But the idea is kind of on the concept of like a bike lock, if you're familiar with that. And Figure 3.5 shows that cable lock insertion point inside of your computer. And as you can see from that, if that's not reinforced, if that's just a little bit of plastic, you can actually break it at that point too. And usually somebody would do that is trying to walk off with the data, or just simply resell the laptop on the street for whatever value they can get from it. All right. Interfaces, peripheral interfaces with working with the laptops. Obviously, you could plug a keyboard in. Most laptops come with USB ports. So you could take your keyboard, you could plug it in there. You could plug a pointing device, a mouse into it, and operate it independently. And quite frankly, I did that for years. I would even carry a keyboard with me on planes or in the airports and whatnot, because I just couldn't stand the small keyboards. And that's me. But now I don't do that so much, but I do carry an external mouse, and I carried a wired one, not a wireless, just because I'm crazy like that. But I recommend you do the wireless. They work. But you could plug in any of the type of pointing devices that we talked about in our pointing device episode, the trackballs, the touch pads, the point sticks, if you have a touch screen, you can even use the touch scenario there. All right, that's it for laptops today. Episode 29 is in the books. Again, get a hold of me, mhaupt@commonsensesecurity.net. I'm trying to judge right now whether I should put more effort into this, because I'm really not hearing from anybody. And when I say more effort, more than just the podcast, I mean starting up some online chat groups, starting up some study sessions, if you will, that are live on a Zoom call or something along those lines. So there's a lot of things that we could do differently, but I need to know whether you're really interested in that, quite frankly. So there we go, mhaupt@commonsensesecurity.net, or 217-314-9339. Send me a text. I don't answer phone calls. I have a lot of that blocking stuff going on because of the number of spam calls I get. Give me a holler, text me. I will talk to y'all in episode 30 tomorrow.